right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Revelers Rule Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle, and today I am here with somebody who I actually met about 3 years ago. I was on his podcast first, the podcast for JR Cigars, which is the Long Ash podcast, and it was right after I did my rebrand to Smoke Revelry. And this guy is not only the community manager for JR Cigars, he's a co-host for the Long Ash podcast, but he's also an actor and a filmmaker. And of course, I'm talking about Chris Orangeo. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, it's overdue, because I remember we tried several times last year, and just for whatever reason, things kept happening. Life kept lifing, as they say. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely been a long time coming, and I'm glad to finally have you on. And you're coming to us from New Jersey, is that right?
Yes, I am. I'm
all right.
Yeah, I'm in the studio where we shoot the Long Ash podcast. And yeah, just enjoying a cigar, getting to finally chop it up with you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, I know 3 years it feels like I've interviewed you so many years ago. 3 years is, I guess, a lot, but still, I felt like 5 or 6 years ago. And
yeah, no kidding.
You know, it's just yeah, things have been good. Things have been going, but they're good.
Yeah. So I know you said you've been like just almost burning the candle at both ends just because of everything that's been going on. You were PCA recently, and
yeah,
representing JR and the Long Ash podcast over there. So, but it looks like you made a lot of connections and networking and stuff. It looks like it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It was my first PCA. Excuse me. It was my first PCA. And I kind of went into it being like, I was really the only one filming there from my job. Usually, if you guys do watch the podcast, usually you guys know my camera operator, Tyler, he's helps us film. And then I'm really just, I'll bring guests on here and there. Other than that, it's just me kind of doing my solo thing.
Right.
But yeah, it was only me out there filming. So I connected with probably 15 companies being like, hey, can I film you for 5 minutes? Because I didn't know how busy they were. I didn't know how much time they had, not realizing that Fridays and Mondays are a little more relaxed and media days and things like that. So,
right.
So I felt like maybe I could have done the podcast out there, but it was still nice connecting. And I was telling this to a lot of people. I'm happy I went out there when I did, 7 years into the business versus maybe a year or two in, because I was able to personally reach out to some of these companies and manufacturers and kind of be like, hey, I'd like to kind of get you on video. And like, without a doubt, they were like, 100%, dude, come here and we got you. And I just attribute to building the relationships over time and having them on the podcast or collaborating with them in some sort, for them to kind of be like, yeah, I think everyone will do media and everyone's pretty open to media, but I just felt like maybe it was just building that relationship with them helped me a little bit more than if I was new and I'd be like, kind of like, hi, Mr. So-and-so, like scared or something, So I think it was more, it was better to go this time around and just being more well-versed with the industry. I still a lot to learn, a lot to educate myself on, but just knowing what I know now, I think helps out a lot.
Yeah, and then I kind of had that benefit going into my first expo, because I haven't been to PCA yet, which is, a bummer. I really wanted to go this year, but it just wasn't in the cards. But
next year it'll be closer to you.
Yeah, exactly. You read my mind. I was
sorry.
Excited because no need to apologize. It was a good segue, but yeah, no, it was just it's one of those things where I know TPE. I've been to TPE twice. A year, about 2 years apart, and it was fun. My first TPA was a blast, and I really didn't do any media or content creation while I was there, because I think I was just kind of like so enveloped in everything, and I just wanted to take it all in without having my phone up or my camera up, and I just wanted to kind of enjoy myself. And I took pictures, and that was about it. But then last year I went to TPE, and I really tried to make more of an effort to create some content, which I did, and I made some connections, and which turned out really great. And but yeah, no, PCA, everybody says the same thing, like PCA is where it's at. PCA is where you're going to connect with the most brands, connect with the most people. It is 100% cigar centric, as opposed to TPE, which is kind of shrinking. The cigar presence is shrinking,
That's what I
and
hear.
yeah, it's fun. Don't get me wrong; it's a good time, but yeah, it definitely does not have as much of a cigar presence anymore. It's mostly dominated by like CBD and vape, which is which
Yeah.
is fine. Everybody's got to make a living. Everybody's got business, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to my very first PCA. Glad it's going to be close to home next year. I got plenty of time to kind of get my ducks all lined up and stuff so I can be there and really just and I've been developing some relationships with certain brands like right now as we speak, so
It's great.
that's going to kind of help propel me into that, I think, in a really great way.
Well, I see
But
you, yeah, you're going to have you had Matty Rock on.
yeah,
He's a great
Maddie's,
connection. He's amazing.
oh man,
Um,
I met him, I don't want to say by chance, because I mean odds are you can't not notice Matty Rock. You cannot not notice Matty Rock. And I was walking around the Drew Estate area, which is, one of the bigger
yeah.
booths at any expo. But
Hmm.
yeah, I just saw him and I think he was wearing his blue sequin tiger suit, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
So he has a blue
Yeah.
one. I saw an orange one
Yeah, if
at
I remember,
PCA.
it was his shiny blue tiger stripe suit, and I went over and talked with him and stuff like that, and he handed me a couple cigars, gave me one of his stickers for like his coffee brand, and yeah, I followed him immediately on social media and been kind of keeping loose uh touch since then, and then I was like, I gotta have him on the podcast, and as soon as I asked, he was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. He's such an affable, approachable guy. He's very nice. But yeah, no, I'm glad that I got to have him on the podcast. It was pretty great. And he's actually in your area
Yeah.
from what
Yeah.
he told me.
Yeah. He's a guy that every time you see him, it's like he's just so excited to see you. And, he follows everyone on social media and whatnot. But when I saw him at PCA, he was basically everything you just described, minus the color of the suit. Gave me his cigars, just really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Was open to
Yep.
taking pictures and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. So yeah, but he's a good guy. But like I said, yeah, you get to connect with a lot of different people. It was kind of hard. It's tough to stand out when you're in media and in any form of media because I
Yeah.
forgot where I went. I forgot where I went, whose booth I went to, and someone's like at PCA, and someone's like, "Yeah, I've seen like 500 of you guys with cameras," and I'm like, well, we're all different, I'm sure. We're all doing different things and whatnot. So I know like you kind of get pigeonholed or into like, oh, you're media, but
Yeah.
a lot of the different content I've seen from PCA, every video is different. Yeah, you're interviewing
Mm-hmm.
the same people, but every style of video, everything is different. So,
Yeah.
so it is like, I mean, like you said, if you're going to be planning it out and whatnot, I'm sure you'll have, like you said, it's closer to you. This is gonna be my first, if I go next year, hopefully, it'll be my first time in Vegas
Well,
ever.
I hope
So
to see
that'll
you there,
be,
man.
yeah. So I'm
I
really
hope to
hoping we
see,
can,
because it would be nice to see you in person, because there's so many people that I'm quote unquote friends with, and they are my friends, but
yes.
I've never fucking met them in person,
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And you're like, I got a buddy of mine in Canada, my buddy Jeff Robertson. You might know about her, have heard him. His handle is Box Press Bagger on
Okay.
Instagram. I've technically known Jeff for 6 years, and I got introduced to him through another guy who I actually met in person, a cigar broker out of Arizona, who was friends with him on Instagram. We became friends, and my buddy Jeff, he's been really supporting me lately. Like he's getting me linked up with certain brands that he's connected with and things like that, whether it's cigar brands or accessory makers and stuff. And I just linked up with one of them.
Knowing that you have that connection, man, that's what I love about it, is that you feel like, all right, you have this connection. There's probably a better probability of being able to
Mhm.
interview and work with
Right.
these guys. So, um, yeah, it's just great. It was so busy. It
Hmm.
was nonstop. I feel like I could have filmed more, but like in retrospect, I did film and photograph a lot, and I would just I'm like ready to
Yeah.
go to my next one, honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I'm wondering if me going alone is going to be like the best thing for me, cuz like a lot of content creators like myself, they will go by themselves and they'll do their stuff. And it's one of those things where I'm wondering if I should have like my brother, who's a videographer and does all that kind of stuff. He actually works for a company out here in Southern California called Quiet Cool Whole House Fans. I don't know if you're familiar with the Whole House fan.
No, no, no.
They're really popular out here in California, where basically it's a big fan that connects to your ductwork. They put it up in the attic, and it saves you a shit ton of money on air conditioning because it draws all the heat out of your house. You have to just open like 2 to 4 windows in your house, and it keeps your house so nice and cool without
Really?
running up your AC bill. Yeah. And so my brother works for them for their media and PR department, and he does all of their ads and has starred in several of them, and it's hilarious. They make them so funny. And so I'm like wondering if I could somehow convince him to come with me and like bring his equipment and say like, hey man, let's go out there, we'll have fun, we'll chop it up in Vegas for like 3-4 days,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
then
that'd be fun to do with him for sure. Your brother, like,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, but yeah, we'll just have to see, because he's a busy guy, and it's
mhm.
hard enough for me to even get to hang out with him on a given weekend, just because like I work a lot of weekends, I'm not always available, and so yeah, the overlap doesn't exist a good majority of the time. So, but yeah, it's one of those things where I'm considering doing, but if not, I'll make do on my own. I'll just be
Yeah,
exhausted by the end, you know.
yeah, yeah. Run down. That's how it always is.
hmm Well, it's amazing how rundown you can get even when you're like, because like I said, I'm only working a couple days a week right now for my day job, but I haven't sat still the entire time I'm at home. I'm doing stuff constantly, whether it's taking care of the house, managing kids and things like that. But I've been in here a lot. I've been stacking episodes of the podcast, connecting with people. Like I try to treat this as a job.
Oh, you have
You
to.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you're not gonna make any progress. And ever since I've been treating it with that kind of respect, and things have started happening. So I'm really grateful that I've actually had this time not working as much. So it kind of turned into an odd blessing.
Yeah. Even when I was doing podcasts outside of work,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I just would be like, yeah, we'll record whenever. And like, you kind of have that mindset of like, you could, of not it being consistent. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that separates people from the consistency versus obviously the non-consistent, and like seeing, you're planning out episodes ahead that are be coming out next week. It's you're
Yeah.
getting into the flow of it, and I think that's important, of getting just some sort of like continuity and structure in general.
Yeah. I made that mistake last year where I was just like, I was filming week to week, and trying to release it that same week is just,
It's
it can
tough.
be murder. Yeah, it can be murder, because you're just trying to like, you record the episode, let's say on Monday, you're trying to get it edited so you can release it by Friday, but stuff happens, you get busy, you don't have the time. And as opposed to like recording maybe a couple different episodes a week, where, if let's say you record 1 to 2 episodes a week, that means that you can, you hit the ground running with one, but you can take your time with the next one, and so on
Yep.
and so forth. And I filmed like 3 or 4 episodes before I even launched the second season of the podcast. So that way it kind of really got me some great momentum.
Yeah.
And I still got episodes that I've already recorded that I have yet to put out, like Maddie Rock. Yeah, the episode we're doing right now. Like I said, even though it's like stressful not working consistently, like your day job where you actually need, make somewhat of a living, at least to help supplement your partner's living, it has been a really odd blessing, and she's been amazingly supportive too. She supports me being in here and doing all this, and knowing that I'm not just in here fucking around. I'm in here
Yeah.
doing shit. I'm working. Yes, I'm smoking cigars and things like that, and but at the same time I'm on here, I'm sending emails, I'm making phone calls, I'm jumping on these things. I'm like, I can't sit still. I can't just do
Yeah.
nothing, because I'll just
You
get
go
depressed,
crazy.
and then yeah, it's insane. So it's at times overwhelming and intimidating, and kind of going back to PCA, when you want to approach people, it can be intimidating.
Oh yeah.
Like, even hitting people up like online via social media to like, hey, would you like to jump on my podcast? There's this weird anxiety complex that kicks in where it's just like, they don't want to be on your shitty podcast.
No, I get I get that, sometimes with the podcast at JR, you reach out to people, and I think people are obviously are more inclined to say yes. But like even like my personal stuff, yeah, I'm always like worried about I'm always worried about what people want to do. I did email a few people to interview while I was out, like went to PCA, and they did not respond. And
Mhm.
that was a little like, damn, okay. But one of them was also I reached out to Bovida, and they were doing their own like live podcasts, like
Mhm.
with 4 or 5 cameras set up, and their podcast setup was awesome. So you look and you see just some people are just, they're busy. You can't take it a certain way, but just, yeah, it's approaching certain people. You're very, you get very
Right.
anxious,
My goal is to try and at least interview like at least one celebrity by the end of the year.
I mean, they're getting to the cigar space, man. So
They are, several of them. Like, obviously Marty Cove, he's been
yeah.
in it for a long time. But then, I saw that, like, I know Guy Fieri's been doing his thing for a while with like the knuckle sandwich stuff with Espinoza. But then there's Marlon Wayans, which I saw your picture with him, which that was pretty crazy. I've been a fan of his since I was really, really young.
Yeah. So I that was funny because I just was like, can I get a picture? I didn't feel like he was going to want to chop it up at all. So I was like, can I just get a picture? Big fan. And he's like, yeah, I'm just trying to be somebody. I'm like, bro, you already are. Like, you already are somebody. And he chuckled at that. But yeah, he has Liga Tridente. I believe
Mm-hmm.
that's his cigar line. And then
Right.
I ran into Ed Reed. I don't know if you're familiar with Ed Reed. He's a former football player, probably one of the best defensive backs ever. And I don't know
Okay.
where, haven't tried his cigar. I don't know if it's with Plasencia. I think it might be with Plasencia, maybe.
Okay.
But no, he was really nice. He sat and talked for like 5 minutes. So that was really
Okay.
nice.
That's cool, man. It's really nice when you find out that people that even if you have just like a passing admiration for them for their work, whether it's in entertainment or sports or anything like that, that they are willing to take a few minutes with you, and they're willing to actually have like even a brief conversation, and they seem down to earth, and they're
Yeah.
chill and they're cool. I've only met a couple of celebrities. Nobody that I could really like, I mean, well, I happened to meet the two actors from Terminator 2, the two main actors from Terminator 2 in two
Oh,
separate
nice.
occasions, and I embarrassed myself in front of one of them.
What'd you do?
You want to know the story? I've told this story
Yeah.
before, so I'll tell you the condensed version. I met
All right.
Robert Patrick when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
Was out in LA. We were seeing the Lion King at the Pantages Theater, and he was there with his daughter, who was just a little girl at the time. And so I accidentally called him by the wrong first name. Like, it slipped out of my mouth. It was completely involuntary because I'd never seen, like, up to that point, I'd never actually seen a celebrity in real life. And he corrected me, but not in a mean way. He was just like, "That's Robert." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And so
What'd you call him?
I called him John, but he was on the X-Files at the time, and he was John Doggett. I think that's where my brain did a disconnect.
Okay.
And yeah, he was walking right past me, and he corrected me, but not in a dick way. He was just like, I
Yeah.
said, "I'm so sorry," and he's like, "Don't even worry about it." And had the story ended there, that would have been like the thing that woke me up at night and made me feel like just an absolute idiot. And so, but no, I bumped into him twice more. Like during the intermission, I was not looking for him or seeking him out. And I wondered if he thought, why can't I get rid of this fucking kid? And I just went to, like you do during intermission, I went to the men's room, and I'm walking towards it. He's coming out, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, well, this is my only chance to say something else. And I just told him, I said, "Mr. Patrick, I'm a big fan, and I'm really sorry. I don't know why I got your name wrong." He says, "Honestly, it's not a big deal. It's not the first time it's happened. Probably won't be the last." So I'm like, okay, cool. And so the show's over. I'm just waiting in the foyer with my dad, my mom, and my little brother. We are just standing there. And he walks out, and who does he see?
Yeah.
This fucking kid. And like, I just kind of nodded at him in acknowledgement. He kind of looked at me like, oh, we meet again. And so, but he actually walked up to me and we started talking. He had a conversation with my dad, and you know, he joked. He said to me, he's like, I'm surprised you recognize me, because he had facial hair. His hair was longer. He didn't look like he did. And I just said, no, I said, I recognize you right away. I said, my brother, he didn't actually know your name. And I said, he recognized you as the dude from Terminator. And he started laughing. He's like, yep, that's it. But apparently he told my dad, which I didn't hear this part of the conversation. My dad told me later, because my dad introduced himself and stuff like that. And I guess Robert Patrick said to him, he's like, you know what? Your son is a very nice young man. He's a very nice young man. I'm like, all right, well, at least I left a okay impression with him by the end of when it was all said and done. Because I'm thinking, I wonder if he thought I was stalking him or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, the second situation leaves that open to like interpretation, you know. I mean, I think if you were younger, he can't get too upset at you, you know. And I'm sure he thought he knew you were probably like, holy shit, that's a famous actor from Terminator. You're probably nervous. He'll probably understand that, but yeah.
I mean, imagine if I did, like, what if I said something like, oh, it's a T1000 instead of saying his name wrong? I might have been better. I don't know. But no, I met him, and then I met, I met. I didn't actually meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, like talk to him. I shook his hand during his gubernatorial race.
Oh, nice.
Back in like 2003, 2004 or something like that. So yeah. Nice. Well, actually, no, it was after he became governor, and he was just like kind of traveling the state rather.
Governator.
The governor. Yeah. Got to see him speak. And it's crazy because like I would have never known about this, except I was home. It was just me. The phone rang, and it was a pre-recorded like robocall, which is ironic when you think about it.
Yeah.
Considering he was a Terminator. But like, I pick up the phone and I'm like, hello. And he's like, hello, this is Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I want to invite you to X place at X time on this day, because I'm going to he's going to be holding like a rally. And I'm like, holy shit. And like, initially I didn't think I was going to go, because I was working overnights at UPS during the time. And I was thinking, I'm going to be asleep during that time. I'm not going to be awake enough to do that. And what I ended up doing actually is I went straight from work. I've been invited to this men's group for a while, like that met early mornings, and I actually went, and instead of going home to go to sleep. And I was thinking, after this, I'll go home to sleep. But then I'm thinking, you know what? It's only like an hour from now. I'm just going to fucking go.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I, got to watch him be a politician. And, which is something that like not a lot of people can say. And it was pretty packed there. And I'm pretty sure it was kind of trippy for some people who didn't know about it, because it was at this massive shopping mall in my area. And they had a big old stage and podium set up in, of all places, the food court area, because that was the only place you could really have a lot of people gather.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how much people were tripping out that didn't know that was going on that day. They're doing their shopping in the morning. I'm like, what is that fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
And I was just like,
yeah, back then you would never know, like social media, there was no social media. There was really no news about like it happening. So just him showing up and, like you said, someone shopping, and you're like, what the fuck? What is the governor doing here? That must have been pretty cool, though.
It was. And I'm wondering how many people actually got that like robocall and were like tripping out. Cause like I was thinking to myself, what is going on? And then like when I heard, I'm like, oh shit. And then as you know, obviously you heard the rest of the story, but it was just so random.
Yeah.
But yeah. And the fact that I got to meet both of them within like a few years of each other, it's kind of funny when I look back on it.
Your connection to Terminator universe.
Yeah. So, well, kind of speaking about actors and filmmaking and stuff like that, You've been pretty busy in that regard for the last couple of years too, because you've made like what, a handful of short films and things
Yeah.
like that, and a number of projects. You actually got recognized for your contributions.
Yes.
So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. So, man, I don't know how far back I want to go, but even like last year,
Hmm.
I acted in 5 projects. 2 of them were my own. I
Wow.
produced. This year, not so much because I'm focusing on trying to make one of the short films I made last year into a feature film. I just
Hmm.
finished writing the first draft of the screenplay. I'm trying to film it
Okay.
this year, like this summer into fall,
Right.
like August into October, if I have the money for it, obviously. But no,
Yeah.
it's been fun. It's been very up and down. If I'm just going to
Yeah.
be honest, won't depress too many people out about it, but no, it's just very up and down. But I mean, when I am filming and when I'm acting, I mean, I don't know. There's nothing else that feels better, really. Like I just feel so like I'm in the right place. I feel very
Yeah.
fulfilled. I feel like
You're in
I
your creative space. You're in your creative space in
be
your wheelhouse.
yeah, being on set is where I belong. I do enjoy
Hmm.
writing. Writing anything for the writers out there probably can relate to this. Is a very lonely, like a very I shouldn't say lonely. It's you and your thoughts. Whether
It's
you're
isolating. It can be isolating.
isolating is a better word than lonely. I'm not a musician, so I don't know how it is to write music together. I feel like, yeah, if the vocalist or lyricist is writing lyrics and then they present it to bands and whatnot, that's more
Hmm.
collaborative. If you're co-writing a film with someone, that's more collaborative. But
Right.
writing is very, very, like you said, isolated. And
Hmm.
with 2 young kids at home, I feel like the only writing I can get done sometimes are, weekends or at nights.
Right.
Um, I was trying for a while to wake up extra early, like an hour before I have to get ready for work. So
Yeah.
if I wake up at 6 a.m., for a while, I was waking up at 5 just to write, and I felt good. Like I'd make a cup of coffee, maybe throw some Zin in, and, or if I'm outside, have a cigar and just
Yeah.
write. And it felt very, you know, you're waking up, it's like I feel like my mind is very fresh early in the morning for sure. So,
Yes.
but things have been going well. The projects that I've been a part of, whether it's my own or I've gotten casted in, they're all kind of,
Hmm.
um, they're in the post-production stage, ready for festivals now, ready to be released.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, man. Breaking into the entertainment space is no easy
Yeah.
thing. It's not. It's no small feat. And
Right.
I'm finding this out for myself just because trying to break into voice work and things like that, which is very slow going. I haven't had a project in a while, not since the beginning of this year, and all the projects I've done so far have just been ads. Which
Okay.
is fine. They pay. They pay decent, and for 30 to 60 seconds, the pay for them is pretty dang good considering they're willing to pay pretty well. I mean, the kind of
Yeah.
stuff that takes people a couple of hours to make, some voice actors can make in just a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or for,
Yeah. My acting coach one time said, you could be on set for 8 hours, do a commercial. It goes nationwide. You are set, like you're making a salary's worth for one day of work.
hmm
And he's like, I know that's not, that shouldn't be the goal for actors, but there are times where, yeah,
right,
you hop on set for 48 hours, 72 hours, and you're getting paid half a year's salary. That's not a
yeah,
pretty bad gig, because then it leaves the rest of your year to audition, to do stuff and whatnot.
yeah. It kind of gives you a little bit of a breathing room because you made a decent chunk of change, and that kind of propels you into the next thing.
Yeah.
You're able to pay your bills, and you're able to
Yeah.
without feeling like you're just barely keeping your head above water.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, I actually do want to get into filmmaking. My buddy Miguel, who he was my first guest of the podcast for this season. I've known him he's one of the Bakersfield gentlemen. Him and his
Yes. You were
brother
telling me about
Frankie.
that. Yep.
Yeah, him and his brother Frankie, who
Excuse me.
unfortunately is no longer with us, passed away last year. But Miguel and I have become really close over the last couple of years, and he is a filmmaker as well. He loves he loves making films that, he loves doing horror for one. And he's just talking. He said something to me when we were on our episode. He says horror is where low budget lives, which is kind of the nice thing about horror, because horror, from what I understand, is such a fun genre to do. And it's my favorite genre of like storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we're talking about trying to make a film together and things like that. So we go back and forth. It's just hard because he's in Washington now. He was living in California, obviously, but now he's in Washington.
Okay.
But yeah, we talk a lot about making a movie and things like that. It's something I really want to break into at some point. I don't care if I play a bit part. I don't care if I play like kind of a side character. I really don't
Yeah.
care. It's just one of those things where I would love to do something. But I think in the meantime, I might try to do something like, mentioning my brother again. I asked him, I said, if you ever wanted to do something like that, a short film or whatever, would you be down? He says, yeah, of course. So I have that avenue available to me, just do
Yeah.
something
I think
small, simple, easy.
short films, obviously you're not going to, I think they're kind of a gateway into, for a lot of filmmakers to like, all right, you make good short film content.
Yeah.
Now, it's a good gateway to like maybe get your foot in the door for like doing feature films. You're never going to
Mm-hmm.
get paid from making a short film, right? That's more so like a labor of love type thing, but it definitely
Right.
opens up doors, and that's kind of like where I'm at now, where I'm just trying to make a bunch of stuff and hopefully it just, I think someone told me one time, one set of eyes could change your whole life if the right person
Yeah.
sees your project and believes in you. And
Mm-hmm.
I agree. So I'm just trying to keep that mantra instead of being like, what am I doing here? So, um,
Yeah, you can sink yourself fast when you think that way, because I've done similarly with this and other things. I'm like, what am I even doing? But I was just like, you know what? I've come this far. I've already worked this hard. I'm not gonna just automatically discount or degrade what I've done it by just throwing in the towel or acting like it's all worthless, because it's not. Right now you might be in a slump or a dry period, but like you said, you never know what would happen unless the right set of eyes or the right person sees your work, or that you happen to make a connection. The whole a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and sort of thing, and it kind of gets passed along.
yeah,
I've had really cool stuff, on a smaller scale, but still really cool stuff happen that way for me. You just never know. You really never know. And I have connections with the entertainment industry myself, and it's ones where I really just try to glean from them and seek advice instead of trying to, hitch my wagon
hire
to their
me.
star, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just because, you never know, they might say something to somebody and that's the person that ends up calling you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all, I feel like it's a good idea not to, it's a good idea not to, if you know someone in the industry, not to kind of like, hey, can you do me this favor? It's really like build a
Mm-hmm.
relationship and see what
Yeah.
they see. I feel like it's funny, like kind of going back to the celebrity, running into celebrities. There's one celebrity I met like 15 years ago. Sports. He was a sports caster. I really liked him. I went up to him. I was like, "Hey, man, I really like your work. Like, I like watching you on TV. Like, I just want to say I'm a big fan." I walked away. He's like, "What? No picture?" I'm like, I didn't want to bother you, and that's kind of like the mindset I have is like, if you see someone who's out there who could definitely help you, maybe it's just more so like showing respect versus kind
Mm-hmm.
of being like, can you help me? How can you help me? Like, I don't want to feel like anyone's being used.
Right. Exactly. You don't want to, my whole thing is like, I don't, like you said, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to be burdensome to that person. It's one of those things where people love stories. And the thing that I found, that the people who are the most approachable and affable people within entertainment, they want to hear your story. If they're the kind of people who actually want to have a conversation, they want to hear your story. And if they hear your story and there's something in it that kind of grabs them and catches their attention, whether you're a screenwriter, a filmmaker, or you're just somebody who wants to get into the behind the scenes stuff, you know, you mentioned that you work in theater and you work in, backstage and stuff like that. They're like, oh, really? That's interesting. Is that something you want to do? And
Yeah.
you just never know. And
Yeah.
that applies to so many different mediums. It's insane.
Yeah, like a part of me wanted to tell Marlon Wayans is like, I'm a filmmaker, I'm an actor. A part of me wanted to do that, but it also is just kind of like, you just ask for the picture, give him his flowers, and who knows what happens down the road, Honestly, especially in this cigar space. You never know.
Right.
Our paths could cross again, smoke a cigar, talk about that, and
Hmm.
and whatnot. So yeah, it's just but no, I'm really, there's times where I'm like, man, should I be doing this? Do I want to do this anymore? But
Yeah,
then
I feel
every
you.
time I'm on set or every time I write something and I just feel passionate about it, I'm like, God damn, like, man, like
Yep.
I probably couldn't live without it, So,
Yeah, same. There was a period of time, and I think I mentioned this with one of my last guests about how, like, I built my little man cave studio area just for the purpose of voice work and doing cigar content. And, my wife was the one who actually pushed for it. And I didn't think it was going to happen for years. And then during the pandemic, my wife, I think she just got tired of watching me smoke on the patio. So she's just like, you need your space. So let's figure it out. We did. And I remember there was a period of time, and it was like, I would say a little while after the pandemic had kicked off, where I was just getting so burned out. And I'm just like, I felt like nothing was happening with what I was doing with cigar media. And I just said, you know what? I think I'm going to maybe put a cap in this and be done. And my wife, who, mind you, hates cigars, like every time I walk into the house after smoking one, she like recoils. Like she doesn't like them at all. She doesn't really get it. But at the same time, she knows I like them. She says to me, I'm sorry, what did you say? And I'm like, well, I said, it's kind of, and coming up dry. I said, there's really nothing I got. And she's like, She's like, why did we build that? Why do we build that studio? I was like, well, I said, yeah, a place to smoke, but I could just use it for voice work. She's like, oh, no, 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 no. She's like, we invested in that space for you to do your cigar stuff as well as voice work. So please don't tell me you're going to just cash it in right now. She said, whatever you need to do. She said, just please don't tell me you're throwing in the towel on that. She's like, we invested too much in this already. I'm like, all right, okay. I hear you loud and clear. And I was like, that kind of spurred me on, where it's just like, wow, she hates that I smoke, but she doesn't want me to stop smoking,
yeah,
essentially. So it was just kind of
yeah,
funny.
yeah. It's always, my wife's the same. My wife is very, I think at this point she's over me kind of going back and forth on like, do I want to do it anymore? Do I want to, do I want to
Yeah.
do it, not want to do it? But, she's very much like, yo, like, the one project I did, I wrote like 20 pages. She's like,
Hmm.
I think you need to, she's like, I think this needs to be your first feature film you make. This is something
Yeah.
I think you need to do. And it's always nice just to have that person in your corner. Just, it's nice that it's your
Yeah.
wife too, but it's just that person in your corner to kind of like really push you and see the potential you have. Cause sometimes we don't
Yeah.
see that, and, who's better to
Absolutely.
see it than the person you live with every day, So,
Exactly. I mean, the story of like Stephen King with like the book Carrie, right?
no, no.
He almost didn't write that book because he thought it was a shit concept, because the first thing he wrote about was like the shower scene where like Carrie gets bullied because she's on her first period. And he just wrote it and he thought, this is absolute garbage. I'm not, he said, he crumpled it up and threw it in the trash. And his wife, Tabitha, she dug it out of the trash and she read it and she's like, why did you throw this away? And he's like, I just thought it was garbage. She's like, no. She says, I really think that you have something here. She said, I think you should finish this. And that was his first novel that it was ever published.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy. If you ever get a chance, you talking about being a writer, um, get the Stephen King book on writing. I remember I had to read that for my creative writing class in college. I still have the book, and I need to read it again because I've been wanting to get back to writing myself. Um, I'm technically a published author, but I haven't written anything in years.
Damn.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to get into, writing stories again, and also, even a little bit of screenwriting. There's a desire there, but like every time I try to sit down to write, I'm like, what am I going to write? And just my brain is my attention span is so short circuited. I'm just like, it's hard for me to focus for a while. And so, but, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you never know what that one thing you write just might be the key to that next step of your career. And you may end up writing something brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I don't know about you. I know you said you have to really kind of get back into the writing thing, but excuse me, there's times where I try to write things that genres I like, but I don't really know well. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the things that I do end up writing well are obviously like very grounded in reality, things I may have experienced, or things that are, like I keep saying, grounded in reality. When I say that, I mean like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of everyday things, not like superhero or supernatural or
Right,
things like
right.
that. Not that I don't like those. It's just I find myself writing things that are feel very real. And I think those are some of my best work, because I feel like I'm putting a lot of my feeling into that and feeling everything I feel on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's important to pour into your writing because, like, especially if you're writing about something that maybe you're not 100% familiar with, and you kind of have to fill in those gaps. You have to kind of connect an emotional experience to it. If you're going to write effectively, you have to connect something that you either relate to or you find relatable,
yeah.
or somebody might find relatable. It's tough, especially like, you know, I think about it as good as it gets. Now, I'm not saying I agree with this particular statement because it's very misogynistic and very, very messed up, but it's like one of those things where, like, okay, but you have to tap into things you don't know about. Where Jack Nicholson was like, a woman asks him, how do you write about women so well? He's like, I think of a man and I take away reason and accountability. And it's just like, okay, buddy. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's right, but okay, you do you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you have to actually like do some research. You need to make sure, even if you know nothing about it. That's the amazing thing to me about people who write novels. Is like, I read about the detail and I'm like, I can't fit this in my head right now. Like, especially when people are, I remember when I attempted to sit down and reread the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, for crying out loud. Matthew Stover, the guy who wrote that novelization, the way he was able to put detail to things that technically don't exist. I'm like, how does he
How's he?
do that? Like,
How's it just
it's
come to
amazing to me.
him? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane just how certain things um, come to people's heads, and I get a
Yeah.
little, not envious, but it's just, man, like the people who create these worlds that
Mm-hmm.
we've grown up and loved, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, a lot of these,
Mm-hmm.
Dune, like this fantasy world, is something, it's on a next level, but I also think like I think there's certain talent that requires writing about real life shit, because people, will write about fantasy, will write about these different worlds to kind of cope with maybe, all right, maybe in real life I feel like a nerd, quote unquote, or I feel
Yeah.
like not as popular or anything like that. I'm going to write a novel where the character is a complete badass and nothing stops him, right? So people
Mm-hmm.
kind of live vicariously through that. But I think if you're able to kind of put your vulnerabilities and your insecurities out on paper, on the screen, I don't know, I think that says a lot. I know,
Yeah.
people's comments about, toxic masculinity, or like men. I think recently, like, Dana White was like, I don't understand like men's mental health, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite get it. And I know
Yeah.
I think a lot of people agree with him out there, right? Um, but it's okay. Like, I think there's times where it's okay. Like, if a man can kind of be like, man, like I'm not having a good time right now. Like, I'm straight up just like,
Mm-hmm.
what's that funny meme? I'm straight up not having a good time right now, dog. Like, I use humor to cope with certain things, but it's true. It's like
Yeah.
there's times where you're like, fuck, man, this shit is not fun right now. And I think it's okay for anyone, man, woman, whomever, to say that. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I think writing about that, I think
Yeah.
it allows certain men to kind of like, yeah, man, like, shit's tough right now. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay for us to get to that place where we can say it,
Yeah.
without being like, oh man, you're acting weak, you're this, you're that. It's like, man, everyone has their days,
Well, yeah, exactly. And I feel like that there's much more of a bit more understanding and a broader acceptance of the fact that like we can't be these stoic, immovable, unmovable assholes. We can't. We cannot be these guys who just bottle it all up and don't say a damn thing about it. Whether you're in therapy or you're journaling or things like that, there has to be an outlet for those feelings. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, I mean, it can give way to some pretty dark things, just like you can lash out in ways that you never expected, just by holding it in. And I don't know what asshole at what point decided, like, men aren't supposed to express themselves or actually have feelings or emotions, and that makes them weak. It's like, no, the weakest people I've ever seen, again, man, woman, or anybody else, are the ones who ignore those feelings and decide, I'm not going to do shit about this. I'm just going to pretend everything's fine. And
Yeah.
then they turn into these absolute raging, abusive pieces of shit.
Yeah. Verbally, physically.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
because they
not,
don't deal.
yeah, it's kind of crazy to see. Like, there was really no in between,
Mm-hmm.
between generations, of like
Mm-hmm.
older people kind of being like, yeah, no, we never talked about our stuff, to now maybe my
Well,
generation,
that explains a lot.
younger. Yeah. Yeah. My, exactly. I don't know how, millennial, Gen Z, where they're like, yeah, no, I'm kind
Yeah.
of feeling this, and people, there was really no in between. But it's funny because I don't think there
Yeah.
really needed to be. But yeah, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know. I just, no matter who you are, I give you more props if you're able to kind of just put it out there and say, hey, like, I'm having a hard time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could kind of bear with me, and if you could kind of just like sympathize with me,
Yeah.
I would appreciate that, versus being like, oh, like, there was times when I would do this, when I was in my early 20s, where I'm like, oh my God, today is the worst day. The world's out to get me. It's like, no, like, this is not always going to be forever. And I think that we need to kind of learn that it's not always going to be this way. If you're
Yep.
having a rough time right now, that's fine. Like my wife always says, so like our kids, like, you can feel your feelings, but at some point we're going to, feel your feelings. But at some point, if there's something you
Yeah.
did wrong, we got to talk about it. And I think that's important. I wish adults would kind of just allow themselves to feel their feelings
Yeah.
and figure shit out, and then be like, all right, this is not forever.
Yeah, I have similar conversations with both my kids. My youngest, I think, especially, where like I let him know, it's like, because he'll get upset about something because maybe he had something he wanted to do, and I'm telling him like, well, we're not going to be able to do this because we don't have time, or this is going on, or we're going to have to wait. And he'll start just getting all bent out of shape, and I'm like, dude, you're allowed to be disappointed. It's completely fine for you to be disappointed. That's not the
Yeah.
problem. I said, but don't turn this into a thing where you lose your temper, you act out, because he does that sometimes, where he'll just not throw a tantrum, but he'll have a little fit. And it's just like, dude, this is not how you handle this stuff. I said, you can feel all these things. You can feel everything you're feeling. I'm not going to invalidate that, but it doesn't give you the license to be a little shit. I'm allowing you to feel what you're feeling because it's relevant, but do not turn into a little shit, because then I have to be dad and I have to discipline you. And that's just going to escalate the situation. And I really don't feel like doing that. So please don't make me be
Yeah.
the asshole. Don't make me be the asshole, because I would much rather be the understanding, compassionate dad
Mhm.
instead of having to discipline you because you took your feelings too far in one direction. It's
Yeah.
just,
I mean,
yeah.
I remember a few days ago, my wife was like, like, I said something like, oh, when my daughter turns like teenager, all you hear about is how like the teenage years, preteen years are tough. And my
Mm-hmm.
wife was like, well, why can't we change that? Why can't we like have our kids like us? And my kids don't like their parents. But I was really thinking about it, and I liked her perspective on that. I liked it being like, why can't we, kind of like similar to what you just said, like, you telling your son, like, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I want us to have, although whether you're 8 or you're 13, I want to have a somewhat open dialogue as to like why, like when I tell you like, hey
Right.
man, like it's okay, like calm down. I get what you're feeling, but like you're gonna have to calm down. It would be nice if like,
Right.
yes, like you said, it's just it's it's met with him understanding like, all right, my dad's or my mom is not going to yell at me for feeling this way, but
Hmm.
they want me to calm down and chill out. So I think it's a very interesting oh, I think things are just very interesting nowadays. Like I said, I'm 38 and I'm not young anymore, but I'm not like old. And it's just this really
Yeah.
weird, like not gray area, but it's just like this really weird area in life. And I find certain things very interesting, and that's what I enjoy writing.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I really I do enjoy. I think my favorite part though is acting for sure. I enjoy writing, but acting is a lot
Yeah.
of fun too. So
Well, stepping into a character is a very unique experience, whether you're doing it in front of a camera or behind a microphone. I
yeah,
don't know if you saw, I posted a voiceover that I did. I dubbed lines from the 1987 Masters of the Universe, like Franklin Jella
yeah.
Skeletor. I It's his, like, basically his big villain monologue towards the big climax of the film. And like I've always enjoyed that part just because of how much he poured himself into that character, his fanaticism, his rage, his anger and stuff like that, and the fact that, like, how did he have a voice after that film? Cuz he was just yelling so much throughout that entire film. And like that was so much fun for me, even though it's not a character that I really developed or anything like that, because he did it completely different, obviously, from the cartoon, because he wanted to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
He terrified me as a kid, but I still loved it. They gave him all the best lines in that movie. And that was, proof positive of that. And I was just like, that was so much fun for me just to be able to throw myself into that. And there's really nothing like it. There's really nothing like it at all.
No, no. I mean, give you a lot of credit in terms of voice acting. I feel like is super tough. Like I mean, you kind of did a perfect Arnold impersonation earlier, just like on a whim, like with so much confidence. I remember being in acting classes and like, you got to do accents. I'm like, man, I can't do accents or voices, but yeah, it's interesting when you get to, I've never done voiceover. I've never done voiceover for, shows, animations, animated TV or movies. I feel like that, like you said, you could really dive into, a world there just as much as you could dive into a world when you are acting in something.
Hmm.
And whether you're acting in a period piece or you're acting in a modern piece, and you just kind of get to
Hmm.
jump into a new world. And I like playing
Yeah.
roles that are different than who I am, and I'm trying to apply to them, trying to audition for them, trying to write some of
Yeah.
myself as well. I think it's just interesting and fun.
It's a worthy challenge too, just because, like, I feel like even some of the best actors don't get taken seriously by us, by some of us regular folks who maybe aren't looking to get into entertainment or anything like that. It's like, oh, that must be such an easy job pretending. It's actually not, because if you want to be a convincing character, you have to be willing to, like, kind of die to yourself to a certain degree and put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's the complete opposite of you, or enough of a divergence to where you're just like, I can't relate to this person whatsoever, but I'm still going to dive into what kind of things they're feeling. Like, I think about when Zac Efron played Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Talk about not being able to relate to someone at all, because he was a narcissistic psychopath. But like, I remember watching the Shockingly Vile movie,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking there were times I found myself a little sympathetic towards him just as he played him, not actually like sympathetic towards Ted Bundy, because
Yeah.
you can't have sympathy for somebody like that.
No.
But like, he made him relatable. He was able to do that in such a way. I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this
Well,
is disturbing.
we're seeing a lot of that now where, within the last 5 years, to me specifically, a lot of shows that are humanizing real life monsters, like Ted Bundy,
Mm-hmm.
villains like Cobra Kai is solely based on Johnny Lawrence's
Uh-oh.
perspective. Um, so it's just there's these movies and shows that are kind of turning him on its head, and you feel I get that a lot with the show The Boys, where there's times where I'm like, man, am I really feeling for Homelander right now? Like, am I really feeling for Homelander?
Yep.
So yeah, it's just it's very interesting, and yeah, it's just always, I'm sure Zac Efron could kind of sympathize, because everyone always said, oh, Ted Bundy's a good looking guy, and everyone loves Zac Efron, so maybe he's like, all right, maybe that's where the correlation is here. But to get to a headspace where you have to play like one of the most vile um serial killers in American history, that has to do a number on you. And I'm
Yeah.
sure these guys are so talented and so good that they can film it for a few months and kind of get out of that headspace. Other times you hear people can't get out of a headspace, or
Yeah.
they commit
Well,
too much to a role, so.
I remember Evan Peters, like, he had to take a break from doing stuff for a while because he kept playing psychopaths. They kept getting casted for psychopaths,
Uh-huh.
either in American Horror Story, playing Jeffrey Dahmer. I can't
Sure.
remember what other roles he played, but there was like about 3 or 4 roles, like back to back to back, where he had to get into a very dark headspace in order to play those characters. And I'm like, that has to take some kind of a toll on you.
Oh
It
yeah.
really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. I think at some point you have to, or want to, um, you're so good at what you like. Evan Peters is good at playing that dark, mysterious character, but he was also good as Quicksilver.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, if you kind of find your collaborator, he found like Ryan Murphy, and he was Jeffrey Dahmer for like 9 months. So could you imagine
Oh,
being that character from January to September, filming it? No,
no.
no, like that.
No.
You're gonna need
That
time off. Yeah, like
yeah.
you're gonna
It
need
would need
time
to
off.
like need to go somewhere like a retreat where you like get swarmed by puppies or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Somewhere where you can just feel like euphoric and good and see the beauty,
Hmm.
like somewhere where it's just
Well,
bright and cheery.
I'm a huge Sopranos fan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And you hear a lot about how, when they were filming it, it's like they filmed it like Monday to Friday. They had their weekends off at times just because of how, I
Yeah.
guess, TV works. And I think
Mm-hmm.
10 or 12-hour days.
Yeah.
And there were times where they were saying, like James Gandolfini would do an overnight shoot and then have to be back at 6 in the morning. And like that scene in the
Yikes.
morning required him to be like a little edgy. So he said he would just stay up, and then he would put like rocks in his shoes to get fucking agitated. And I'm like, that's a commitment. That's something I don't.
Yeah.
That's something I ask myself, would I do it? I think
Mm-hmm.
if it required to get to a certain place, I would do it. But at some point, it does and will affect your health.
In some way, shape, or form.
In
Yeah.
somewhere, whether it's physical or mental health. So like
Mm-hmm.
you said, after playing these dark roles, yeah, there should be a dedicated resort where all you are met by is golden retriever puppies, and you're fed your favorite drink and your food, and life is good, and it's always sunny, and you get to swim, and you just get to relax. And I think you've earned that, especially when you do something that dark and that like disturbing.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder though, like there's playing a serial killer or somebody who's that awful, as opposed to say like playing a role like John Wick, where I wonder if you really would have to get into that dark of a headspace to play John Wick. only because like I feel like you'd be having too much fun with the physical aspects and kind of the it's not it's it's so unrealistic in terms of like
Yeah.
how
Certain things. Yeah.
yeah certain things, but like I watch interviews with like Keanu Reeves and he had so much fun doing that just because of the stunts and because of the coordination and stuff. I'm like I feel like that would kind of be a fun little like canceling out of any dark moods you might get in because you're being so physical that it kind of takes all the energy out in there and then you're able to kind of like slow down a little bit. I don't know. I don't do what he does and I'm amazed he can still do what he does in his 60s. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty bonkers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The story of John Wick, the first one anyway, is really heavy.
yeah.
But like you said, you get to kind of then like go out and be a badass. Like I think that kind of outweighs maybe trying to get into a headspace. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's certain roles that are extremely fun. So
Yeah, it's a mixed bag because, you know, it's like you got these people who and I still make fun of my wife for this where I'm like she cuz around the holidays obviously she gets into her Hallmark hole as you know it's my
hmm
first time referring to it as such but now I won't be able to refer to it as anything else um where as soon as like November comes around and the Hallmark holiday movies start coming she wants to watch them and that's my cue to leave the room because I'm like I can't do it. I
I don't
can't
want to
do
do
it
this shit.
anymore.
Yeah,
I can't. It's like good for them for finding their niche and making a lot probably a good amount of money making those movies every year. But for fuck's sake, could you throw in like a murder or something? Throw in something in the middle that will like, you know, spice it up a little bit. Doesn't have to
yeah.
be too crazy, but like it's the
It's just so
same thing.
predictable.
It is so predictable. It's
It's
all
so predictable.
and while I appreciate they really try to make sure like the women in those roles are like the ones who have like these really amazing careers and they're like pioneers in what they do. I think that's fantastic. But then they basically kind of dismantle that by the end of the movie because they end up going and living the simple life with the man they fell in love with like
Yeah,
more power to you if that's what you want, but it's just like you gave up all that
executive
hard work
position. Yeah,
just
yeah,
just to go run a bed and breakfast somewhere in the fucking country. Jesus Christ.
yeah. They're
You
all the
know?
same. They're all in the same formula. Like I always see a
Mhm.
funny one where it's like a woman who works in the city at a big time job goes to the countryside for like Christmas and falls in love with a guy who makes maple syrup for 25 cents a year. And she's like, I found my person. And, but people eat that shit up. That's another
They
thing.
do.
There's an audience
They do,
for it.
but
So it's like,
I can't
it can't be
fucking
that
do
bad
it.
because like
I
you said,
can't. It
your
just
wife, my wife, they all love the same shit. They all love
I
it,
can't
you know?
yeah, I can't fucking do it, man. It just makes me it's more depressing than watching like an absolutely downer of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Cause like I can watch a horror movie where some fucked up shit happens and I'm in a better mood after that than watching a Hallmark movie. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is like at least there's some stimulation where like I got the shit scared out of me. I'm like, okay, I'm alive, you know,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm connected. Whereas like Hallmark, I'm like, somebody give me a drink because this is
Yeah.
just killing me right
This is
now.
fucking killing the whole vibe.
Give me some eggnog with a shit ton of bourbon. I
Yeah.
can't do this right now.
Yeah.
So it's just so funny because there used to be a time where I actually enjoyed those and I would watch them with my wife, but I guess you could say that was like during the honeymoon phase of our relationship, you know,
hmm
early on, you know, first few years. And then after a while, I'm like, I'll ask this stupid fucking belt cam. The tracking just decided to turn on. This isn't the first time that's happened either, too, because like
That's
you
funny though.
motherfucker, it's like got a mind of its own. It's got
It's
an
so
AI in
annoying.
it that does like the tracking.
Oh yeah.
So, but then like I'll ask my wife back to the Hallmark stuff. I'm like, didn't we watch this already? She's like, no, this is a new one. I said, are you sure? Because I feel like we've already seen this one. It's
Yeah.
can you
I
see
mean,
me or hear
they're
me?
all they're all the
Okay.
same. They're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And It's just wild. It's just wild how
It is.
it is just insane how they just it's the same formula and all of them eat it up. And then there's times where I'm
Like,
watching one, I'm like, fuck, man, like why did I start watching it? Because I'm like 10% interested in this when I really shouldn't be.
yeah, you get weirdly emotionally invested because you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
you're
well,
like,
I'm
God
here now.
damn
I'm
it.
roped in. I'm
Yeah.
roped in. Now I got to
Yeah.
find out what happens, even though I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
It
It's
sucks.
yeah, there's something in it. There's like crack in the writing or something.
I don't know. It's astounding to me. But like you said, people eat it up.
Yeah.
They will eat that shit up in a way that just I mean, it works for them. They found a formula and
Yep.
they made it work. So, I mean, good for them. It's their cash cow. It's their moneymaker. I can't get mad at them for finding something that actually makes those movies work for people. And
Yeah.
maybe it's just the hopeless romantic in some people, but it's just like,
Definitely.
I'm a fairly romantic guy, but at the same time, I'm like, you can't keep putting a dress on this turd and then expect people to keep liking it. It just, you put a lipstick on a pig so many times, after a while, it kind of loses its appeal.
Yep. And there'll be a new batch of ones this Christmas. I'm gonna have to sit through it. I'm like, God damn it. So
Thankfully, she doesn't force me anymore.
nice.
I told her, I said, because she'll ask me, she's like, do you want to watch one? I'm like, what's it about? And she tells me, and I'm like, seen it. She's like, no, this is a new one. Nope, I've seen it.
No, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't care if they changed up the actors, because it's usually at least one of the same actors from the last one.
Yep. That's a producer that's making this shit for them. Yeah. It's
And if it has Candace Cameron Bure in there, count me the fuck out.
yeah.
I cannot stand that chick anymore.
Yeah, I mean, man, she wasn't ever really a good actress to begin with, I feel like, but she's in all of these.
Well,
She
but at the same time, I mean, I used to have, I mean, like most millennial dudes
Yeah.
watching Full House, I had a massive crush on her when I was a kid,
Yeah.
And then like in recent years, I'm like, every time I hear her talk, one, and it's gonna sound mean, her voice is annoying.
Yeah.
And two, I know I'm gonna hear a sermon, so I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. Yeah, I can't watch anything with her in it at all. After Fuller House, I was done.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of her in a while, so I'm kind of happy about that. I think some stars that we grew up on should just like I love the Boy Meets World, they're doing podcasts and doing stuff like that, but it's just like, how long are you going to hold on to something, But
yeah, and I know it sounds funny, but I like Danielle Fishel less and less these days.
Yeah, it's weird because she's everywhere.
Well,
she's awesome, but she's everywhere. But it's like,
yeah,
like I want to see her in new stuff.
Well, I want to see her in new stuff, yeah, for sure. But sometimes when I hear her say some of the things she says, like I've heard some people say she was kind of a pain in the ass at times, and like, when she was interviewing Maitland Ward on her podcast, because I mean we all know what Maitland Ward does now, which fine. I don't have an issue with that. It's just that I feel like there was a little too much judgment there, and it's just like, come on. Not everybody does the same thing after Hollywood. Sometimes Hollywood messes you up more than that particular career path.
Yeah.
So no judgment whatsoever. But yeah, I felt like she was kind of giving her the the judgment glare.
How could you? Yeah, how could you?
Yeah, in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I watched clips from it. I'm like, oh, this is painful.
Yeah.
This is painful. But yeah, no, it's just interesting how you like the crushes that you had on like some of these girls in these shows. Like now, some of them still stand the test of time. Amy Jo Johnson, still love her.
Oh yeah.
Tiffany Thiessen, still love her. Absolutely adore her. And and there's one or two where you're just like, no, can't stand that bitch. Sounds mean, but just after a while,
you're just like, what happened? Why did you become the way you are?
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, there's way more guys who fit that description than any of the women that I grew up watching, because there's some guys who just turn into straight up pieces of shit, and they just you cannot stand anything they do anymore. Like,
and they're still living in their glory days, you know.
A little, and you know what? Honestly, if you're what you would get classified as a has-been, which, you know, admittedly, that would be kind of rough to be considered that, but some people have leaned into it, and that's their bread and butter. I'm like, you know what? Good for you, man.
Yeah. You're
good for you.
You're going to these Comic-Cons and you're still talking about a show that came out 30 years. And if it's getting you money, then do it. But some of these guys some of them are just, fuck, man. Some of them are just, it's just unbearable. You know, it's just kind of like, you almost feel bad, like you said.
Yeah.
You know,
so, but you never know what went on for them to like get to that point where you're just like, they, you know, and kind of going back to like certain feelings that don't get dealt with or expressed or have a proper outlet. You know, some people went through some shit. Yeah. And unfortunately, you know, kind of turned to the dark side a little bit, and it's rough to watch, and I try not to judge, but it just depends on what extreme they go to after the glory days are over. If they go to the one extreme where they're just turning into these raging narcissistic assholes and they still act like their shit's still hot, then I kind of write them off.
I mean, it must be tough being, you know, the man or the woman or the in the spotlight for a hot minute, and then you're not, right? It's tough to come back. It's tough to kind of like adjust to real life.
Right.
So
exactly.
Just let you know, sorry. I have a work meeting in 10 minutes. I just want to let you know. Sorry.
No worries. It's all good. This is usually where things kind of start to wrap up, and the camera's pissing me off anyway, so I need to.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I would be a lot angrier. I would be a lot angrier than you're being if this is happening to me.
Look at it. I'm not even over here. What the fuck? Come on, Pixie. I can't complain too much because I won this camera in a giveaway.
Nice.
It's a 4K.
It's nice. It's nice quality. Yeah.
It really is. So, well, Chris, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast and enjoying the absolute hilarity that is my equipment that has a mind of its own. So I appreciate. I'm glad we finally were able to do this.
It's taking over.
AI, right?
AI.
John Connor warned us. We didn't listen. John Connor warned us.
Yes.
But anyway, but no, I appreciate you being on the podcast, and that we finally got to talk and have this.
Definitely,
and so,
man. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
It's been a blast. No, absolutely. Anytime you're available and we can do this again, I would love to.
Definitely.
But,
I would love to as well.
Chris, I have, I end the show the same way every time I ask my guest a question, and the answer is in the title of the podcast. Who rules?
Revelers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So,
all right.
You got it, man. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Chris, thank you again for being on the show. Appreciate you. And we will see you guys in the next one.
Thank you, guys. Yep.
All right.
Awesome, man.